right, hello everybody. Welcome to our thrift store challenge week. This has been a completely crazy week for us here. We are in the middle of an ice storm. I've been stuck in my house for a week, but luckily I already had my piece for this week's challenge in my garage. I found this little chest of drawers at our local Ambets for 40 bucks. I loved that it had these clean mid-century lines, but I think it was probably a piece of office furniture, and it's definitely showing its age. There's some damage to the top. It looks like maybe some water damage. And the veneer on the sides is kind of cracking a little bit. And because it is veneer and not a solid piece of wood, you don't have a ton of options in terms of refinishing it, because if you sanded it, you would sand right through that thin piece of veneer on top. So I thought this was a perfect candidate for a coat of bright, colorful paint. I also love the handles on it. You look at them right here. They're really graphic, but they get kind of lost because they're a really dark color. So I have fun plans for those, and I want to show off the really cute little mid-century legs. So I think we're ready to get started. First, we're going to remove the hardware. So, see, there's a little lock at the top, and then the handles. Oh, oops. Well, that just fell right off. I told you this was gonna be an exciting video. These guys are going to get a coat of Rub and Buff. That is like a gold leaf, waxy paint, magical stuff. It's really cool. It has kind of like a muted gold, vintagey vibe, and I think it'll dress up these legs really nicely. Squirt some out onto your finger and rub it on. Now, Rub and Buff is kind of stinky, so you want to do it in a well-ventilated area. Normally, I would do it outside, but it's like 4 degrees and everything is covered in ice. So I have cracked a window and we're going to run a fan. So I think that does it on the legs. You can't see the bottom plates that attach it to the cabinet, so I'm not going to bother painting those. They're pretty rusty anyway. So now we're just going to let that dry for a few minutes until it's dry to the touch. Flip it over and get it painted. Love this color. Now, chalk paint is naturally very matte. So after I give this 2 coats of our chalk paint color, I'm going to go over it with some wax. And that'll kind of give it a little bit more of a sheen. But when you're using this product, I mean, you really can just like slap it on. It levels itself, so you don't really have to worry about brush marks. But I do think it works best to do 2 thinner coats versus 1 thick coat. Okay, first coat is on. While that's drying, we're going to tackle the handles. We're going to use our Rub and Buff to give our handles a nice shiny gold update. So just like we did on the legs, you want to wear gloves, squeeze a small amount on your finger, and rub it into the surface. If Rub and Buff is not available to you, you can use gold paint or spray paint, anything that is suitable for a metal surface. While the handle's dry, I'm going to tackle that second coat of paint. All right, we let our table dry overnight. Chalk paint actually dries fairly quickly, but it was getting dark, so we went ahead and let it dry overnight. And now we're going to apply a coat of wax. Now, you don't have to wax chalk paint. It naturally has a really matte finish, but the wax will give it a subtle sheen and helps protect the finish against water. Since this is going to be a bedside table, you know, inevitably I'm going to set a water glass down on it or something like that. So I just want to make sure that the color is protected. So we've got our can of soft, clear wax, and that was exciting. And we have a wax brush. Any firm bristle brush will work for this. And then you're going to want a clean, dry cloth to buff the wax after we apply it. So let's get started. This is like very Mr. Miyagi. Wax on, wax off. If you're using this and you have a piece of furniture with some detail on it, you're going to kind of want to like stab the wax into the detail just to make sure you get it worked into all the surfaces. This is a really simple table, so you just brush it on. Okay, so we have a coat of wax on. Now we're going to wax off. I'm sorry. All right, but seriously, we have a coat of wax on. So now we're going to use our clean, dry cloth and we're just going to buff it. This will give us kind of a soft matte finish. If you want more of a sheen, you can do it all over again and do another coat of wax and then buff that. But I'm just going to do one coat. We got one coat of wax on, and I'm going to go ahead and do a second coat just on the top because I really want to make sure it's protected from water spills or, you know, scuffs and scratches. So this time, to get a really even finish, I'm going to work in small areas, applying a little bit of wax and then immediately buffing it off. Get off any dust or bristles that may have fallen out of your brush. All right. Now, you want to make sure that the wax has time to cure for about half a day before you put anything on it. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and attach the handles. Then we'll be done. There we go. Well, we just have to let that wax continue to cure for a few more hours, but I think this is ready to be moved down to my bedroom.